What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a Cinco de Mayo edition of the NBA Rundown as we get ready to break down a loaded NBA card today. I got Travis Mangone and JSU with me today. Travis, how we doing?
Good, excited to be here. We're not here on the normal Tuesday hour, but we're here breaking it down and excited. It's a good basketball slate. I mean, we have a free square already. Russell Westbrook's on the slate, so one play down. I guess 7 more to go.
Yeah, Westbrook averaging 14.8 rebounds over the last 10 games. Pretty impressive. JSU, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Mangone, obviously, he's really excited for this slate. He's like, yeah, I'm excited.
This is a good slate, JSU. This is a good slate. This is a good one.
Oh, God, I love it. I love when Mangone's excited to when he's not excited. Big fan of Mangone excited. Not a big fan of Mangone when he hates slates. I don't like that Mangone. I like the Mangone who loves slates.
There's nothing worse than like seeing a slate and it's like, oh, all the Spurs are out and like I know everyone's playing Spurs, like I don't want to play Spurs, like just like slates that like I like the chaos, like bring me all the craziness, like I want Jimmy Butler ruled out at 6:00 and I just want everyone to just be pounding away trying to figure it out, like, and I'm trying to figure it out too, and sometimes I make an egregious mistake, but those are the slates that I love.
Mangone loves to watch the slate burn. Well, let's jump right into it. We got the first game, Boston Celtics, 34-31, 30-34 against the spread. Head down to Orlando to take on the tanking Magic, who are 21-44, 31-32 against the spread. I mean, not much to say about Orlando. Why don't we start talking about Boston and whether or not you think you can cover the spread? Travis, what have you seen from Boston lately, and do you think they can cover tonight?
Yeah, I don't know if they can cover, but I know I'm not betting on the Magic. I'll tell you that, right? Like that's just it's what was the word we said the other day? Spread. It's what's the it's dog or pass, but it's not. What's the one you take the favorite again?
It's lay it or don't play it.
Lay it or don't play it. That's it. So lay it or don't play it. I struggle with the Celtics though, right? Like the other day, I think it was you who asked me, you're like, do you like the Blazers or do you like the Celtics?
It was the Sunday game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, spread, like I haven't gotten these two teams right, but like, my buddy likes the Blazers, so I was like, hey, like, I'd ride with him. I'm not riding with me on this one because I struggle with them. I struggled a little bit with the Celtics for sure, trying to figure them out. They just haven't been healthy for most of the season, which has been quite frustrating for them. But I can't bet on the Magic. I can't bet on some of these teams that are not that they're losing on purpose, right? But they're definitely have some less talented players, and it's a tough one. So I'm going to pass on this game. There's a lot of other games in this card that I prefer, so no need to go here on this one for me. And DFS-wise, it's not a game I'm in love with. I believe, unless the injury report I'm wrong, we have everyone back except one guy, right? Who's missing in this game? Is there one Celtic of the 4 missing? Spread?
Yeah, Jaylen Brown is out.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So we have Kemba, we have Smart, and we have Tatum. Tatum's got more priced up. DFS-wise, this game is probably a good stay away. And I believe on this slate, which I think I'm correct, there's only one 7:00 game, I think, right? So it's not a bad idea maybe to fade that first game if that is the case. And I'm pulling it up now to make sure. Yeah, one 7:00 game like I thought. So I'll probably turn this into a 7:30 lock if I can. I know the Magic side, they don't make it easy on us because they lose some players. We'll have to count all the guys and see what's going on. I know the price is going up. Like a Wagner is still interesting on 4.9K, even though he had a cup of coffee in Boston. It is a first blood revenge game, so JSU get excited about that. But that's all else I got for you. I don't want to load up on Magic in this spot.
I mean, Travis, at this point, you're going to give us some AAU results. Well, hey, this guy lost an AAU in the third game on a Saturday, so he wants revenge. Hey, we got a lively chat box today. Guys, can you please like the video? And I'm sure you're already subscribed, but if you're not, hit the bell, please. JSU, what do you think of this game?
Yeah, I love how Mangone wants that Mo Wagner 40 minutes, 20 DK points. I can't wait for that Mo Wagner 20 DK point in 40 minutes.
I don't have 4.9, I'll tell you that. Like the price is getting too high. I wonder if he's cheap enough on FanDuel, but it is a gross price.
It is interesting though how Boston literally kind of, like you said, they welcomed him in for like a quick minute and he was out right away. So that's interesting, but he's just playing all the 4 minutes, Mo Wagner. Like they're pretty much Bamba and Carter are getting all the 5, and Wagner's playing as much as he can of the 4 minutes with all those guys out. So yeah, he's going to see a ton. I don't know how though you can back Orlando here. I mean, this is a terrible matchup for them. if they start Tatum at the 4, are they going to really have Mo Wagner guarding Jason Tatum? Like, that can't be real. He will get destroyed. Like, this is a terrible matchup. I think the Celtics, I think the Celtics just absolutely destroy this team. But I don't know if I can get on board with 11. I don't know if I can bet it, but I really do feel like the Celtics are going to crush them here. From a DFS side, I don't think I'm going to pay up for anyone on this slate. Mangone talked about a little revenge. I can't believe he didn't bring up Fournier, unless I missed it. But Fournier gets the old team. Mangone didn't even say about Fournier.
No real revenge there, right? The Magic kind of set everyone off. Like, they said, "You're gone, Vooch." Like, they let Gordon go. It was like a goodbye tour. They just said, "You guys can all go and like win somewhere else." It wasn't really a revenge spot, in my opinion. So. And he's got on the COVID too as well, so who knows?
Well, his depth perception, it clearly was a little better last game, I think. Anyways, he was saying the lights were affecting him. He was saying he was saying all this stuff about how just his vision was being affected, and his eyes were a little messed up. Yeah, he was saying a few different things. It was interesting how he was affected by the COVID. I mean, I don't know. That's what he's saying. He's saying he went to an eye specialist too. So, I mean, it was probably a real thing. But either way, he had some terrible games. Last game, he had a decent one, and he's still cheap. But I think if you're playing anyone, it's the cheap guys. RJ Hampton has looked really good the last 2 games, and he's still really cheap for fantasy, for DFS. And Mo Bamba, I think, is in play as well. Because he's someone who in 20-something minutes, if he's getting 20-something minutes of run, he has upside at his DK price. So I think those are guys I might have interest in, but I'm not paying up for anyone on either side.
All right. Let's move on to the next game. I would consider this one a lay it or don't play it as well. The Portland Trailblazers, 36-29, 33-31 against the spread, heading to Cleveland to take on the woeful Cavaliers, who are 21-44, 24-41 against the spread. All I really have to say on this one is Cleveland's been terrible. They've been 1-9 against the spread on their last 10. I don't see how you could back them here. Travis, am I missing something? Is this the night they turn it around?
Yeah, sorry, I was fighting with West Coast Jen. He's hoping the Suns get the Lakers. And to revisit that conversation spread, yes, I would be worried if the Suns saw the Lakers. I'm not that irrational. Yes, we were talking about that.
As long as we're going to go for nonsense in the chat, who's going to win in the Celtics-Knicks first round?
Oh, the Celtics have that one. I mean, Joey Work and I, I hope we get the Knicks. That would be so
I hope you do too.
Oh, man, we will just absolutely just destroy their hopes and dreams. But we'll have to see. Spread. So what game were we talking about? We're talking about the Cavs game, or which one?
Yeah, it's -11.5. Cavs have been 1-9 against the spread. Portland, of course, being on a road trip, a little bit of a concern, but I can't back this Cavaliers team. Really, only major injury report that I see. Well, Lillard's probable. I'm assuming he's playing. Powell's questionable, but he had that tag last time he played. I don't think Hartenstein matters. Lamar Stevens and Garland are out, and Anderson Varejos is on the list. Is he turning around? Is he going to be the emotional spark plug for this team?
Okay, so here's the thing about let's talk about Varejao, because I'm assuming he's 3K, right? Is he even available in DFS yet or no? I don't see him here.
Is he even going to play? I thought it was one of those things where they're just signing him to
I don't see him.
I literally think that what's going to happen is the last game of the season, they're going to let him play 25 minutes, right? And it's going to be like a Anderson Varejao goodbye game. It sounds stupid, but I don't know.
60 on 60 shots or whatever.
Maybe, because I guess Varejao was kind of a big part of the Cavs organization, right? Even though this is a really dumb conversation we're having right now, but
this was years ago too. I don't even know why we're even talking about Anderson Varejao right now.
Yes, I don't know why we are either. It's I don't know why he got signed. It made zero sense at all. But it is what it is. I'm not too worried about him. I am wondering what.
No, go ahead.
I'm wondering whenever he is going to start, because I just feel like it's going to happen. But I don't love this game from a DFS perspective too much. I guess you could make a case for Lillard on FanDuel at 9.2, but he was just 8.2. I figured he was going to still be down there at 8.7 maybe. 9.2 is a little bit of a tougher tag, and it is Cleveland. They play at a slower pace. I'll admit is the Celtics and Blazers. I mean, back-to-back teams that I haven't loved betting, and we'll find some teams later on that we can talk about. At least for me, I'm not gonna touch this game at all. I don't think, just from a betting perspective. I'll definitely talk about some coming up, but I don't love this one. I don't love it from DFS either. Again, it feels like a good game to backload, right? Like, I mean, Cleveland, they have had some opportunities, and like on FanDuel specifically, they have had some good spots. Like Jared Allen is someone that has been in a pretty good price. His price tag over on FanDuel right now is 7.5, so it's a little bit tougher. And then one other guy I'll mention, and I want to see how he's been doing because I don't look at Cleveland all the time. Gosh, Okoro has been absolutely crushing. I didn't realize how good he was the last game. So they talked about, and he's had some duds mixed in there, but they've talked about like giving him more ball handling responsibilities, which like against Portland, it could make some sense. At 4.3K when he's guard and small forward eligible, I don't hate that. That's something I might consider if I feel like I need value on the slate. But again, I see myself probably maybe backloading even at 8 o'clock now. Like the more I even think about it, it makes some sense on this slate to do it. And I don't love a lot of these guys in this spot, but I wouldn't just think that the Okoro thing is like a random thing that's happening. The coach has talked about kind of putting the ball more in his hands. So don't ignore that completely there.
Yeah, well, they have to put the ball in his hands more. They have no one else. They can't give the ball to Colin Sexton every single trip down the floor. Like they literally have no one. Delly's gone. Garland.
What about my guy Okoro?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like, okay, Colin Sexton cannot just take every single shot. He can't just have the ball in his hands every single time down the floor. Yeah. They have to mix it up a little bit. They like Okoro has to be the next guy. I mean, I don't even see anyone else unless you want Cedi Osman. Right?
Yeah,
who?
It could have been
no. I don't. So it's just like they have no choice but to give that kid the ball. And yeah, it's going to make him a little better from a DFS side because he's not standing in the corner anymore, which is kind of what he was doing for a little while. When I feel like he just didn't really know what he was doing out there, like the offense and everything. But Garland's key, right? Is Garland out for this game? Like,
yeah, I see him as out.
You see him as out? So this is a tough spot. I feel like if you're betting it, though, I feel like you're taking the dog here. Like, I'm not trusting Portland 12 points. Like, I'm not trusting Portland with 12. No. And Cavs play at a slower pace. Maybe they can, just kind of hang around a little bit. Like, offensively, I feel like they could still, score on Portland. But I get it. If, again, this is a spot like Boston where you just want to stay away, I'm fine with that. We got plenty of other games on this card.
Yeah. Actually, I'm fine.
Real quick, Nanda said in the chat, like, don't be fooled by Okoro with the 47 minutes last game. Well, no one's expecting that, right? And also, like, this is classic. Like, he's 4.3K. You're happy if he gets 25 points at 4.3K, right? Like, you're not expecting that 47 again.
Landa is sharp. He knows that when a guy scores 47 and gets 40-something, minutes as well, he's going to be popular the next time out. Like, this is a guy that I will fade if he's popular.
Is he gonna? Because I don't want to play him, right? Like, I think
normally when a dude plays 40+ minutes and scores 40+ fantasy points, the next game he has some ownership. I don't know. I mean, maybe he won't. If he doesn't, then I don't mind playing him. But if he's going to be popular, I will definitely fade him.
Yeah, I mean, I just think what's going to happen, like, and I mean, we'll get to it, right? I think Giannis, like, maybe sits or one of these Bucks sits, and, like, we're going to have a bunch of value that opens up. But, again, I see myself backloading a lot more. Like, it's probably going to become an 8 o'clock lock for me. Call me crazy. I think the slate's going to start at Sacramento, Indiana for me.
I mean, that's in my opinion, that's completely fine because there are 3 or 4 games on this slate that I just can't see myself not like loading up on. Like, there's 3 games to me clearly that are just better than all the other games. And then the rest of them are just like either fine or not that great. So I'm with you that I'm like, if you wanted to backload to the first of those 3 games, like I'm totally fine with it. Giannis has crushed this matchup already. I mean, if he sits, then it's a completely different conversation, but he's dominated the Wizards twice. So if he plays, him and Russ, it's like the KD and Giannis, in my opinion, from yesterday. I just felt that playing both those guys yesterday was just the way to go. I couldn't see myself getting around it. You might be in a spot.
JSU.
Yeah. I mean, in NBA, it's tough, right? In NBA, you just sometimes you got to eat the chalk. We did it with Sabonis and Westbrook. What was that, the night before last night or whatever it was? It's going to happen. It's the pieces around it where you need to get different. It was the playing TJ McConnell at 10%. I'll play him or under 10%, whatever he was. Got me like 40 something. Like that's where you're going to get different. Draymond at 10%. Those are the plays that get you different.
All right, let's get the double-digit spreads off the board right off the bat, and then we'll get into the more interesting games. So let's just do quickly. The Sixers heading to Houston to take on the Rockets. The Sixers are catching 13. Houston actually doing better than Cleveland against the spread. They've been 4-4 on these double-digit spreads over the month of April here. So they're kind of going either way. This will be the one that I would take the points the most, but honestly, I'm not going to touch any of these games. Just give some quick thoughts on this games, and Travis, and let me know if I'm missing a profitable angle.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. The Sixers, they're that team that, like, man, they do play down their competition at times.
That's why this was the one. If you made me choose a dog, I would choose this dog of the three.
Agreed. Yeah, if I'm picking any of these like big double-digit dogs, it's kind of the Rockets. If you have me pick them, but I don't want to. Sixers can be quite frustrating. The Sixers could sit guys out of nowhere. I don't trust Doc Rivers much. He has talked all about, we're prioritizing the health and everything, and they could sit guys randomly here and there. So it wouldn't shock me. That's why I wouldn't mind jumping on the dog if I had to jump on anything, right? That would be the reason why. We know Embiid, they want him healthy, so he could randomly sit this game, and it would not shock me at all. But staying away from this game, and DFS-wise, I don't want to sit here and I don't want to go and load up on Embiid. I don't want to load up on anyone really in this game too much. I guess the Rockets are banged up a bit, right? So you can make a case that there are some guys that we have to look at. I'm looking at the injuries right now just to double check and see. House is doubtful.
So House and Augustine are questionable or doubtful, one of the other, but they were upgraded from out, obviously.
Yeah, but DJ Wilson's still out, which matters a little bit. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything here that because I talked about how Kelly Olynyk last game, basically I thought that injury to DJ Wilson could solidify some more minutes for Olynyk, and he got to 36, and you wouldn't be shocked if he played 38 if it was a competitive game. Obviously, there's risk to that. Martin ended up playing 32 minutes, 22.5 fantasy points. I believe someone got hurt during that game too. I'm forgetting. I think it was Wood who got hurt during the game. I don't know. Did someone get hurt during that game?
But he came back, I think.
Yeah.
I think he came back and he played. He ended up playing big minutes anyways. So
yeah, I guess
he still played 35.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make here with this Houston side, and I understand taking some shots on an Olynyk, it's not the worst idea, JC, because that DJ Wilson injury you and I talked about a little bit, it matters more than I think people realize. So I think there's an opportunity there, but there's risk that comes with it, JSU.
Yeah, I mean, I think the risk is that you get a Philly team who, they've been playing really well defensively. They're, for the most part, pretty healthy, at least their main guys anyways. And I just don't know if it's a spot where you want to touch either side. This is a perfect example of a DFS game where I'll just chalk it up and say, if I lose to a Houston stack because they somehow keep this game really close and it becomes one of those track meet games, which I don't think Philly will let happen anyways, then I'm not going to win. But the other outcome, which I think has a higher chance of happening, is that Philly, slows the game down. They go through Embiid. He dominates. They end up, crushing and sitting their guys in the fourth quarter. That's just the way I kind of see this game going. And so from a DFS side, I can just chalk it up and say I can handle this fade. If Embiid crushes me because it's a really good spot for him and they somehow keep this game close and he gets 60+, well, then I just need my studs to get 60+. You know what I mean? That's just what we're doing here. From a betting side, again, I don't want to mess around with these double-digit spreads, but you could just say dog or pass here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if I were to take a double-digit dog, this would be the dog. So let's jump into some of these better games. The Wizards and the Bucks is one that I definitely want to hear from you. I was telling Travis before we got on, or Mangone, excuse me, Terry, that I was telling
That's Uncle
Mangone.
T, by the way. That's not Terry. That's Uncle T. So
I'm getting all the names wrong today. Wow. All right, Uncle T.
Terry Niehaus is in the chat.
Yeah, that's not Terry Niehaus. That's Uncle T in the
all right,
chat.
Uncle T's in the chat.
Who's
What's up,
Terry
Uncle T?
Niehaus?
Yeah, that's like Mike Pettivy in the chat. Like that's who? That's not Mike Pettivy.
Uncle T, you need to like actually change your name so it shows Uncle T. No one knows who Terry Niehaus is. What are you doing?
So this was at what 7.5 last night or 7 last night. It's down to 3.5. I think we're gonna get some tomfoolery here from the Milwaukee on this injury report. That's what that line move says. I know that overnight bettors liked the Wizards. You know, I talked to a group of guys that like the Wizards a lot, and I thought it was the right side. But they money can't move a line that much. This seems to be information that we don't have. Mangone, what do you think? Who's going to be the mystery ones? My guess is Giannis and DiVincenzo are in danger of getting sat here.
Yeah, I would agree. I was going to bet the Wizards last night. I almost did and put it on the sheet, and then I just forgot. So doing PGA research was too deep into that. But hey, I lost some money there. At least we'll see. You know, you never know how.
Yeah, we'll see.
I like the Wizards in this spot. I even like them money line. Last night I considered sprinkling the money line because I was like, this team is fighting for something, right? The Bucks off of like the 2 big wins, you know. I could see it, right? Especially if like a Giannis did sit, which I was thinking could happen. I do think someone does sit here. If let's say that someone doesn't sit, right? Giannis is in a great spot. Like, don't ignore him as one of your studs on this slate. The problem is there are a lot of good studs on this slate, and it's going to be a lot of injury news based on how we approach this Pacers team. So it's hard to make those decisions on what you do with Giannis. I don't know if this is a hot take, but if you tell me it's the same Pacers situation, a guy's out, I would take Sabonis over Giannis at basically the same price because it's the Kings and because of the situation Sabonis is in, the amount of usage he's seeing. Again, I would need all the same guys out, right? Like the same exact situation that he has been in. That is the key. And I don't know if we're going to get that. I worry that we are going to get some of these Pacers coming back. But I do like the Wizards here. I still don't even mind them at the 3.5. I don't love it, but I don't mind it. I do think that this team, they are fighting, they're battling, and they're a team that you don't want to bet against right now, right? Like ride the streak rather than try and pick the time it's going to end. So I'm on the Wizards 3.5 here.
JSU, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with Mangone on this one.
Wow.
I think the Wizards are the play here. Mangone's been saying don't fade Russ right now. I think that goes in both aspects from a DFS side and a sports betting side right now. That dude is just playing like he wants it. Like they're coming. They're a team that no one wants to play right now when we get to playoff time. Like that's a perfect example of a team that no team is looking at them going like, oh yeah, we got Washington here. Like that's definitely not it. Like these teams, that's a team that's kind of scary. The way Westbrook's been playing, he's a difference maker on the floor, man, and he's all over the floor. Like he plays so hard all the time. You got to give it up to him. Like the dude he works every single game. He tries his best, and you can tell on the floor. So I agree with you also that I could see someone sitting here. Maybe it's a Giannis. You know, maybe they do something like that. Who knows exactly? But either way, I think this is a spot where I like Washington and would bet them here 3.5.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to wait for the injury report. Maybe we'll get the news during Hardwood Live. Might be the final countdown with you and Holden. Of course, if you want to watch that, go become a member of Run Pure Sports. Promo code RPS Heater 25. But I think a better thing is to use the promo code GetBets. You'll get access to my plays, Tyler's plays, HTP plays, the Sports Keg, Joey Work, JJ Score with D. You'll get access to all those plays. So use the promo code GetBets, and you can hang out with Holden and JSU on the final countdown. So I think that opening line was better, and let's assume that everybody plays. I might jump in on Milwaukee. Washington has been playing fantastic. My concern here is that I think that they're taking advantage of a really nice schedule here. Take a look at their win streak. They started off with a win in Utah. That's fantastic, right? Then they beat the Kings, the Pelicans, Detroit, Oklahoma City, Golden State, Oklahoma City again, Cleveland. They lost to the Spurs. They beat a weakened Lakers team. Then they beat Cleveland, lost to Dallas, and last night they beat Indiana. Not exactly a murderer's row, going up a step in competition. If everybody's in, I like Milwaukee here. The thing is, this line movement is telling me everyone's not in, so I can't get involved until then. So I do understand where you're going with the Wizards here, but I think that if it does come out that they're fully healthy, I'll be on Milwaukee. But I'm still hesitant. Brought up a great spot with the letdown spot too here, right? Coming off those two big wins. And real quick, I just want to know, what do we take away from these wins here, right? I had to move the Bucks up in my power rankings. They beat the Sixers now, albeit it wasn't a full-strength team, and the Nets not at full strength. But if there's any team that I trust to stay healthy, it's this Milwaukee team. I think the Nets and the Sixers have much bigger injury concerns than the Bucks. Mangone, how did this affect your view of Milwaukee's chances to win the Eastern Conference?
So part of me feels like it's just the Bucks doing Bucks things, right? Like trying a little hard in the regular season, being those guys, act like, dude, the Nets will be fine. Like, I'm not too worried about it. Like, I really think the Nets are just gonna demolish in the East, but we'll see. It'll be fun. The Bucks are. I'm more worried about the Bucks than I was 2 months ago. Not that worried though. Like, I'm a little more concerned that they could be better, but I don't love it. I think the team is still going to struggle. I think playoff time, Giannis is still going to have his issues. Playoffs are just different. We get fooled by this every year, and I'm pretty good at not getting fooled by it. I don't know, JSU, are you in the same camp as me?
I'm not fooled by these games at all. Like, those wins didn't tell me shit about the Bucks. Like, there's no way I'm trusting the Bucks. I think, honestly, this is definitely a hot take, but I don't like the Bucks and I don't like the Sixers. I don't like either of those teams. I'm not. Listen, the Sixers and the Bucks. Bucks, first of all, when you have to late in games, when you have to trust Giannis, when they're just going to back off of them and the defense tightens up and they really focus in on defending these guys, it's totally different. And everyone knows it in the playoffs. It's going to happen. The pressure goes up a little bit. Every shot, it's a little tougher in the playoffs. And you'll see it happen. It happened last year. You'll see it again this year. You'll see that wall. These teams start to force Giannis into doing things he does not want to do. And the problem is, in the regular season, they don't do that. So by the time it gets to the playoffs and teams start forcing him into things, he's not used to it. He's not comfortable doing it, and it throws him off. It's going to throw him off again this year. That's going to be an issue for them specifically. I'm not buying into it. I'm not buying into that team. I'm not buying in to Philly either. I'm sorry. Philly is another team where I'm not trusting Simmons. I'm not trusting Tobias. The only guy I really trust is Embiid. He is the superstar of that team for sure, and he's the one who I think could carry them. But I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Nets, who have a contrasting style of play when it comes to the playoffs. I would love to see Philly against the Nets, where the Nets are just going to try and win with their offense and just, the Philly's going to have to win with their defense first, trying to stop them and slow the game down. And I want to see which style wins out in the playoffs. That would be really interesting to me. But we'll see. I'm a backer of Miami. I think the Celtics are interesting. Washington is going to be a team, like I said, no one wants to play. There's some interesting teams that are going to have to be that are higher seeds or lower seeds that are going to have to, play these teams. And I think it's a good shot to take some of them in series, depending on matchup. Obviously, there's some teams that I like against, higher seeds that I don't like against other higher seeds. So it all depends on the matchups. Yeah.
And is Joey Work auditioning for First Take in the chat? I mean, what is he doing? Joey Work is out here saying that the Bucks are better than the Nets. And we're all clearly fooled by them. Like, do you guys see the Nets are 43-23 and they're playing with like Landry Shamet, Blake Griffin, and Bruce Brown all season? Like, I mean, it's all health based. If these guys are healthy, it's over. Like
I don't think people understand just how good KD is.
He's amazing.
If you tell me KD is healthy, give me KD over anyone right now. Like KD healthy. I'll take him over anyone in the East, and you can have Giannis, you can have even Embiid. KD is the player. Now, if KD gets hurt, that changes everything. Obviously, obviously we can't handle that. But give me KD. I'm telling you right now, the Knicks are the team that you hate to see regular season because they play hard every single game and they play really good defense. Well, in the postseason, that's when everyone starts to play better defense. That's when everyone starts to tighten up their defense. So.
And then they don't look as great, right? It's just gonna happen. It's just a natural thing. By the way, we did get news. Christian Wood is doubtful, and Jayshawn Tate is out for. And this is like protocol reasons. So
who said Julius Randle greater than Crybaby Durant? I'm dying.
Willis out here just trolling us.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I'm laughing. I'm not. That's funny.
All right. Joey's bringing some energy to the chat today. I love it. And we're going to need that energy trying to slog through this game. The Sacramento Kings are 28-37, 28-36 against the spread. They head to Indiana to take on the Pacers, who have Sabonis return, but they still have a lot of health issues. I don't trust this Pacers team. This is another game I didn't really want to get involved in. Mangone, am I missing some awesome angle here, or am I fine just saying forget both these teams?
So DFS wise, you don't want to forget these teams, right? Betting wise, I didn't hate the idea of maybe backing the Kings here, the reason why is like the Kings, they have like their like core group of guys like where their bench is rough, right? Like I totally get it. It's a gross group, but they can kind of run like a pretty tight rotation where I think they'll be fine. And they're playing the Pacers, and the Pacers are a team that you can score on at all times. The problem is if like a Malcolm Brogdon is in there, like that's going to be a nice little bump for the Pacers. Like I really need that news to kind of be able to fire on this game if I want to, right? So it is kind of news dependent, which is kind of frustrating, but that's definitely where I'm at right now. If you have these guys that all sit again, and I'm pulling up on DK, I'm pulling up Indiana. We got Brogdon, who we know he is questionable for this game that we're worried about. We got Sumner, who has played the last two games but got hurt during the games. He's questionable. You got Jeremy Lamb, questionable. Again, he still has not came back and played. Jakar Sampson was on I think he was on like a 2 games where he was going to be off. So I think he could be back for this next one, but he could be reevaluated if he doesn't play.
Sampson's out.
Okay, he's out for this one. Okay, cool. And then Goga is the other one, right? Goga is questionable. He's been questionable forever, it feels like. But Sabonis' price has gone up to 10-6. And I think if you have all those guys out again, I like Sabonis here in this spot a lot. And he's going to absolutely just eat. His rotations have been amazing. He's been getting so many minutes, and he's crushed in them, right? So that game against OKC, he only played 30 minutes and 75 fantasy points. But, like, he did not play for, like, a huge portion of the second half because of the blowout. He came into the game at, like, the 10-minute or 9-minute mark in the second quarter, right? He had a really nice first half rotation, and I expect it to be a really good one. The Pacers are still fighting for those playoff spots, right? They're going to go out there and they're going to play Sabonis a ton. So I like him. I like Karis LeVert, even though he's 8.8K. He is shooting guard eligible, right? And shooting guard sometimes is a bit rough to roster some guys where it does make sense to play him. I see myself, I mean, it depends on the news, obviously, right? But I see myself wanting to at least have 2 stars. Russell Westbrook is plugged in there. If you don't want to play him, go find my head-to-heads. I'm happy to play you. Russell Westbrook is just the absolute most free play. So plug him into your lineups. And then I'm looking to either mix in a Giannis or a Sabonis, I think. And then I don't hate maybe trying to grab like another guy, like a LeVert if I can. It's something I've looked at. It's not easy to do. If you plug all those guys in, I'm left with like 4K for my last 5 spots. It's possible to make happen, but it depends on how all the news shakes out. So that's something I'm looking at. And then on the Kings side, and one reason why you might not be able to do this strategy is because I was looking at it a little bit last night. It's hard to ignore the Kings because they're playing the Pacers, and the Pacers are bad defensively. How do you fade Marvin Bagley at 5'4" when we know what his upside can be, and he's seen 30 minutes in the last 2 games, and there's no rim protection there to really be worried about, so Bagley should be able to have his way. Then you have Delon Wright, who he absolutely smashed, and he's only 5.6K now. I didn't expect him to put up 55 last night. He had a massive stocks game, 4 blocks, 4 steals, 8 altogether. Not expecting that again, but still 13 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. He was doing it all on the court. Expect him to have another pretty solid game, and he will be the guy that is running the offense there. So like him a little bit as well. And that's one reason if you plug both those guys in to your construction, it's hard to get that extra stud in your lineup. So again, a lot of stuff matters news-wise, but these Kings are important, right? Because these Kings are in an amazing spot. The Pacers are really bad defensively, and I think you're going to want to mix some of these guys throughout your lineups as well. I'm curious to hear what JSU's thoughts are on some of these guys. Like Buddy Hield played 42, 38 minutes last 2 games, has 40 fantasy points. I know he's 7.7K, but it is a great matchup, and you can make an argument for him at that price still if he gives you that kind of production and the ceiling he can have. So I guess let's go to JSU. I want to get all of his DFS takes on this game because it's a really good one.
Yeah.
So before I get into this, I just have to go back to the chat with our friend Josh here, who had a few things to say. First, he says the Nets big three haven't played enough minutes together, and it won't just click in the playoffs. Y'all wild. And then he says, dude said nobody want to play Washington, then says he doesn't trust the Bucks or the Sixers. First of all, Josh, I said it was a hot take. I also, what do you want me to do? You want me to go out there and say what everyone else is saying? Oh, I think the Bucks in Philadelphia are the 2 best teams in the East. And, that's what the seedings, that's what the standings are telling me, because I watch the regular season every day, and that's what the regular season's telling me. No, that's not. I'm not doing that, all right? I know basketball. I know matchups. I understand that when the playoffs come, all these teams change. You'll notice it too, and matchups are key. There are going to be teams that struggle against other teams. Take Boston as an example. Boston's another team you can come out and say, Boston has not played with all of their guys, Kemba, Jalen, and Tatum. They have not played a ton together because it seems like every game, one of them's out. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Every game, JC,
and they've played Philly, I think, 3 times, lost to them every single time. And just so you know, like the last 2 times they played a back-to-back and they didn't have Tatum.
Yeah.
I'm throwing that game out. There was no Tatum. Yeah, they lost, but it wasn't like they got beaten to hell. They lost. It was fine, but they didn't have their full guys. They started Grant Williams. Grant Williams played like 30 minutes in that game. What? No, he's not playing when it comes to the playoffs. Like, he's not going to play 30 minutes. These teams completely change. You have to understand that. So to say, like, you're wild because you think that the Nets, 3 superstars, can't find a way to gel, like superstars. We're not talking about, like, just some guys. We're talking about 3 of the best offensive players in all of basketball. No. You're crazy if you think that 3 of the best players in the entire league won't have success offensively playing together. That is crazy to me. Like, they don't need chemistry. The Celtics need chemistry together. That's a team that needs it. They got a new guy in Evan Fournier who's a key. Robert Williams has been in and out of the lineup. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Kemba. Those are the guys that need the chemistry, not the 3 of the top 10 best players in the NBA. Those guys don't. They're going to drop 30 when they want to. Harden's going to have a triple-double when he wants to. What are we worried about that for? If Harden's healthy, I bet you could come in tomorrow and get a triple-double on that team that he doesn't have chemistry with. Guaranteed. Like what are you worried about? I don't understand that.
I'm worried about the health.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you should be worried about. You should be worried about KD staying healthy.
Especially being a hamstring, right? Because he could even come back and feel 100%, and that thing could re-aggravate on an instant, right? It's not like something like a sprained ankle or sprained wrist where you're back and you're back, Still,
Boston. He says Boston sucks.
Yeah, he's going pretty hard in the chat.
Take the regular season for what it's worth, Josh. I'm just telling you right now, the regular season, the postseason, 2 different things, my friend.
Josh,
we'll see.
Josh is killing me though because the Heat had their big 3 and we got to play through adversity, right?
The Heat big 3. Oh baby. Woo. I'll tell you right now, the Heat big 3, I don't think they'd hold the candle to the big 3 of the Nets if they're healthy, personally. But Kyrie, not a top 10 offensive player.
That's a good one.
Kyrie, not a top 10 offensive player?
I mean, he's like top 5 offensive player. It's just offense only, right? And it's also offense when it matters, right? Like when he does not he's out there walking with a walking stick and getting one with the earth in his Buddhism. Nothing against Buddhism. That's just what he's doing. I don't even know if that's the religion he's in.
You can make the case that Kyrie takes the game-winning shot in a clutch game in the playoffs. You can make that case with all those guys healthy that he has the ball at the end of the game. You could honestly make that case. I would give it to KD, but if Kyrie took the shot, I would not be angry with that. LeBron James was giving him the shots. I would take Kyrie to shoot. I don't like you cannot like him off the court. That's fine. But don't take that away from his offensive game. Come on.
JSU, I like that KD got blocked by Giannis in that game. You know why? KD remembers that. Like, Giannis probably making a little big deal about it. Like, he's like, dude, like, knock this off. Once the postseason comes, I'm putting you in a blender and it's over. Like, we're body bagging you and you're done. We're taking care of you.
All right, but he got blocked by Giannis. It's not like it's not like he got blocked by like a no-name. Like, if he got blocked by like Robin Lopez or Davis Bertans, he'd be like, all right, I'm going to dunk on you the next like 3 trips. Like,
I'll just say, I like that the team that I'm backing, like they again, you don't want it to be like too easy, right? At least I want them like to know that like, hey, like the Bucks are trying it in their rearview mirror. I don't want them to get too lazy. That's all.
I just don't subscribe to the fact that the regular season is what you're gonna get come postseason, and I don't think that now maybe some things are right. Like I think the Knicks are going to give you exactly what they're giving you in the regular season. I think they're going to give that to you in the postseason. Exactly what you're getting. All those guys are going to see 35 plus minutes. They're going to play good defense. They're going to try and slow it down. You're getting exactly what you're getting. A lot of these teams, though, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't think you can just take for what the regular season is showing you with everyone. And some people just fall right into it. And I'm not going to subscribe to that. I'm not just going to go in and give you that the 2 best teams in the regular season are necessarily the best teams come postseason time. I'm not doing it.
JSU, just hop in your car and go bet the Nets at -110 to win the East with me and just collect.
The only thing I'm worried about is KD getting hurt. That's
Same.
I'm
worried about Harden.
Him and his skinny legs, his chicken leg. Like, I'm worried about it, everyone. His Achilles, his hamstring.
It's an all-around health thing. It's Harden and it's KD is the concern spread, I think. I think all around, just like if you do lose one piece of it, it's going to get a little tougher, obviously.
All right, so lost in all this. Did you like the Kings or the Pacers, JSU?
Oh, sorry, I lost myself.
No, this is a lot of fun. I mean, I think people are enjoying it too because I'm enjoying it.
We'll go back to talking the bet show here. I think that Brogdon is key in all of this. What do you take? Because we had a good question. Someone in the chat, I forget who it was, but he asked before all this stuff started. He asked about how Brogdon's health. How it would change the line. I want to ask you that, Spread. Do you think that there's any change if he's in?
Yeah, I think that the line is set up right now, assuming that he is going to play, and that I think that it'll drop probably 2 points if he's ruled out. I think it would drop down to like 4.5 or 4. So right now, when I'm reading that line, it's pretty close to what the numbers are telling you, which means I think that they think he's going to play.
Okay. That makes it a little tougher because I do think that Sacramento, if Brogdon was out, I would probably take the dog here because honestly, Indiana, they can't stop anyone. Like they on defense are they really struggle. And Brogdon is a very good defensive player. He helps them, I think, a lot on that end. He also keeps from like TJ McConnell and some other guys that aren't that great at defense playing bigger minutes. Right? He's going to stay on the floor, which is going to hurt some of those guys. So I think he's a key piece of news. If he's out, I honestly might back the Kings here, depending on where that line moves and where I can get it at. But I think that's a piece of news that I need, whether he's in or out.
Yeah, and I think that what I've seen from the Pacers here is how important Miles Turner was to that defense and how much he made. He covered up some of those deficiencies of all those wing defenders because they look absolutely terrible. They can't stay in front of them. And when Turner was stepping up and challenging shots and, making those finishes a lot tougher, they were able to get away with it. But they're absolutely exposed now. Really tough perimeter defense. And then did you hear the report that the coach might be in hot water? I was actually surprised by that. I thought that this was a really tough year. They were really happy to
Indiana's
be with him.
coach?
Yeah,
Jordan or whatever his name was.
He's not getting along with someone like the stars on the team, and there's a lot of issues. He's basically, there's a lot of issues that he's apparently not addressing with someone like the players and just.
What are they though? Like,
it was very vague. It was very vague.
vague.
Like Woj didn't give the full details. I wonder if I can find it real quick because it was interesting. I saw it was last night, right? Spread, the report came.
Yeah, it came out last night, and I'll tell you what, I was surprised. They loved him at the beginning of the year.
Here it is. I can't say his name. Whatever the Pacers coach name has work to do on relationships with key players in his locker room. Sources tell ESPN, and thus far shown a willingness within the organization to try to address those issues. Yeah. So it's apparently his job is possible. He could get fired by the end of the year. They mentioned as well. Could be, not for sure. And Tristan Thompson just got ruled out.
I think that's something to keep in mind as we continue to cap the Pacers going forward. If they quit on the coach, especially with only 7 games to go, it's quite possible. So let's keep an eye on that. Let's talk about one of the most interesting games on the 8 o'clock schedule. It's the Phoenix Suns heading to Atlanta.
Did you talk a lot about the DFS side of the Kings game or no?
I mean, I love the DFS side of this Kings game.
Basically, just stack the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this Kings game is the best game for DFS. I think it's by far the best game. Got a bunch of guys in all different price ranges. Yeah, I mean, this is the game I think you attack. I think the studs in the Washington-Milwaukee game paired with some of the mid-tier and value guys from the Sacramento game is probably a really good way to go. Now, you could play like Sabonis, obviously.
Yeah.
LeVert, those guys are for sure in play. But I'm just saying, from a building standpoint, you could take some of those mid-tier and cheaper options from this game because there's a few guys, I would say, if all those Pacers are out again, and then you pair that with the studs from the Milwaukee game. I think that's a really good way to go.
All right. Travis, what do you think about this Phoenix game, though? Coming off the overtime win, now they're taking on an Atlanta team. A lot of love for Atlanta on the overnight market, and I told you before we started, my concern with Atlanta is they're not very good against the spread, against the better teams. Only 8-13 with teams that have won more than 55% of their games. I do understand why the market went for the fatigue fade against Cleveland, but I wasn't as keen to jump on. I don't trust Atlanta against the top tier of the NBA. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta, I think it's giving too much respect to what they've been doing. This feels like the Knicks the other day, right? Remember when the Knicks and the Suns, it was like a 1 or 2 point spread? I was like, listen, I came around to respecting the Knicks more, but that's too much, right? We've given it too much. They're riding that streak too much. This is a wrong number. I said it probably should be closer to 4 or 5, right? And this one I feel kind of similar. Maybe not 5, but it should be probably 4 or 4.5. The one I think is wrong. So I like the Suns a lot here. I get the fatigue factor totally. That is a slight concern, but these are the Suns, right? And the Suns, man, they're grinders, right? These dudes, they are grinding for that 1 seed. And if you look a week or 2 ago, spread, it looked like it could have been a hard chance to really get that 1 seed. But I was like, all they got to do is beat the teams in front of them. They'll be fine. And what they do, they're beating the teams in front of them. And I think that they got their eye on the prize of that 1 seed. I think they end up with the 1 seed. I've thought this for a little while now, and I think the Suns take this one home. I'm going to take the Suns -1 here.
Yeah, I think it's definitely tough. The situation, screams stay away, but I'm with you on the Suns. What do you think, JSU?
Oh, it's not tough for me. I like the Suns. I think the Suns are the play for sure. I trust this Suns team, especially in the regular season. And I'm just going to ride the Suns wave right now. You said 1's the number, right? Is that still the –
Right now it's Atlanta +1.
Atlanta +1. Yeah, so it's pretty much like a pick 'em. You're pretty much picking who's winning. I think it's the Suns. I think the Suns are a much better team than Atlanta, by the way. So I don't even understand I guess, though, we talked about this before where, you see a line and you don't really get it and it looks a little fishy. This line looks fishy to me, spread. I don't know. I don't know what it was. There was another game, though, last time I did this show on Tuesday where we said the same thing. And I think it was with a Rockets game, and whoever was playing the Rockets ended up beating them easy. And we were like, why is this line what it is? but we just took it and ran with it, and they ended up winning.
It was the Timberwolves against.
It was the Timberwolves, right? Yeah, and they ended up winning by like 7 or 8, and they had the game for most of it. But like, I see this as a game where the Suns they're gonna win, in my opinion. So, and I don't like Atlanta, so I'm going with the Suns too, and that's that. By the way, too, in the chat, like anyone else, we love debating. So, like, I'm just like, anyone else have their opinions on who's going to win? Throw it in the chat. I'll debate anyone. I don't care who it is.
And I want to clarify. I I think the Suns are going to win the title every time I'm on these shows. Now, I don't think that's the case, right? But I do think, like someone said, oh, they're not going to make the Western Conference Finals. Yes, I agree. I don't think they make the Western Conference Finals. But is there a path for them to get there? There's a path. I think it's there, but it's not ideal, right? I just don't think they're like, people are saying they're going to lose in the first round. And it's like the only way they lose in the first round is if they draw like the Lakers, in my opinion. That's it. I don't see anyone else.
Because they're the number 1 seed right now, technically. So they're like, that's like what they're supposed, like a number 1 seed is supposed to get the Western Conference.
Yeah, but JSU, the regular season doesn't matter. And people,
guys,
this is a year where all the good players are sitting, and they're the one team that is their 3 stars are playing every day. Like, no kidding, they're the 1 seed.
This is my point, though, about the regular season. You have to take it like you have to understand what's happening in the regular season. You have to understand that the LeBron-less Lakers, who didn't play with AD for a while too, and like all these things happening. So the Lakers aren't up there, obviously. Denver's lost how many guys? Now they lost Dozier, another guard. Like
that was terrible, man.
That's a huge loss.
Yeah,
just from the standpoint, they don't have many other guys at that position. You got the Clippers, who constantly have been playing with one of Kawhi or PG out, it seems like, for a lot of the year.
Ibaka hasn't played for
Ibaka hasn't played.
Beverly just came back, so he's a huge part of their defense and really the heart and soul of that team.
You have so many moving pieces with these standings. You can't completely trust what you're seeing in the actual standings and in the regular season when it comes to the postseason, depending on who's back and who's healthy and everything like that. Because if you tell me LeBron is healthy and back with the Lakers, well, I mean, now I think they're clearly the favorite in the West, right? In my opinion, anyways, they're the favorite for sure. It's not the Phoenix Suns who are the favorite. So
some of these teams are not going to be able. By the way, like not every team will flip the switch. Some will, some won't. Like some are just not going to. The switch just won't be flipped. There's some like the Nuggets one. I worry that Nuggets one is just going to die out. Like the postseason is going to come and it might just falter. I don't know for sure. I'm still trying to figure out my full-on stance on the Nuggets, but I do have a lot more concerns about that team for the postseason when other teams are dialing it up, because it feels like the Nuggets are one of those teams right now that are dialing it up as much as they can, and I do have some worries about that.
I was totally on the Nuggets are undervalued train, and I was thinking that I'd be able to get some value in them. I just didn't want them to go against the Lakers. I like them kind of to get upsets against some of the other teams. But that PJ Dozier, man, is just too much. I was thinking, okay, they can absorb Murray, right? Porter Jr. is doing fine on the offensive end. I think Barton can defend. He can run a pick and roll effectively, right? Campazzo's been doing okay. You get Monte Morris. He's an okay defender. But I really liked how P.J. Dozier had been stepping up, especially as a cutter. I think Jokic was getting comfortable finding him going towards the rim. And I thought his defense was average to above average. It's just a huge loss. It's, it's usually an NFL team, but this cluster of injuries are going to kill him. It's really too bad for a team that's had a fantastic season. So Travis, I know we got to get you out of here. Did you want to go ahead and give a best bet right now, and then JSU and I can do the last 3 games?
Yeah, I got to get on out of here, but I wanted to stop in, and me and JSU didn't get to debate too much, so we'll have to see what I'll have to listen back and see what he's on later on. But I'll just go with the Suns, right? I mean, I've fought for them every day. I feel like I fight for them all the time. I'm gonna fight for them now, and then at some point I will get off, but we're gonna stay riding with the Suns at -1 as my best bet. DFS-wise, we didn't talk too much about it. There's not lots of love in these games. I never played DFS guys really in those games, and I'll just listen to you guys later on to get the final thoughts on these other DFS games, because we talked about the 2 ones that matter, right? The Washington, Milwaukee, and then the Pacers and Sacramento. DFS-wise, that's where the bread is going to be buttered today. So key in on those games. Don't load up on too many others. Maybe mix and match some stuff, Rockets value and other values that show up.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, and JSU and I will take it home. So thanks for hanging out today, Travis. Um, the next game we got is the Memphis Grizzlies. They are heading to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. Timberwolves catching 3 at home. Timberwolves have been playing much better, but I'm a little worried about this kind of step up in class here. The Timberwolves have beaten the Warriors. That was a pretty good win. They beat Houston. They beat Utah in a weird game. And then they split with Sacramento. Memphis, of course, coming off that loss to the Knicks. Before that, they had lost to Orlando, which was a bad loss. They beat Orlando the night before, but they've lost 4 of their last 5. How are you looking at this game, and do you trust the resurgent Timberwolves to cover here?
It's interesting when you look at the Timberwolves. Some of these guys are starting to get more secure minutes, and like Ricky Rubio he's seen 30 minutes the last 2 games, has done really well. D Russ has been getting more minutes. They're playing these key guys. There was a spot where a little earlier where Cat wasn't getting big minutes, and then they changed that, and now he's seeing big minutes too. I think this is a spot that's really interesting to maybe back Minnesota here, even though Memphis may be the better team overall throughout the season. Minnesota's been playing pretty well. I think my lean here is Minnesota. If I'm going to take someone, I think I'm going to take Minnesota with the points and go with it. I don't really love the Memphis team. I haven't loved Memphis really all year. If they make the playoffs somehow, I think they're an easy first round exit. I don't even know if they make it in the playoff or the play-in situation. Yeah. I don't think they make it. I would, let's see, you got Golden State in the 8, you got Memphis 9, Spurs 10, and then you got
the Pelicans are hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, Sacramento's right by. Man, I think Golden State, the way they've been playing, I would back them a little bit more. Curry's been amazing. And I think in the playoffs, he's gonna want to show out, even if it's in those playing games and then their first round exit. I think he's still gonna show something. He's been doing it. I don't know what it's been the last couple weeks to a month or 2, but man, he's looked so good. And it's tough in these playing games not to think that they're the best team in that playoff situation, play-in situation. But even the Pelicans, I don't think they're better than the Pelicans. I would take the Pelicans. I think I'd take the Spurs too, fully healthy. So I think they're the 4th team out of those guys. I think they're more in lockstep with these other teams like Sacramento and maybe Minnesota when they're fully healthy, right? We didn't see Minnesota with D Russ and everyone. And I know D Russ, offensively, he's really good. Defensively, he's not. But still, he's a factor for them or a team where they need kind of his scoring at points. And I just think that right now I'm going to ride the Minnesota wave.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Memphis is an interesting team to me. I don't think he'll get the credit for it, but to me, Taylor Jenkins is maybe the coach of the year. I'm not really that impressed with his roster. I mean, they missed Jaren Jackson up until last week. The fact that he's able to get this team, which I don't think is one of the better rosters, to play so well, you got to give him some credit. So, of course, that's always a concern. But going off recent form, I think that the right side is to take the Timberwolves, who are basically almost working against their own interests with that top 3 protected pick. They don't want to win these last 7 games. And, to me, they don't want to win them. But you watch what they're doing and how they're playing and how Finch is attacking this. I don't think he cares. I think this team is so starved for some positive momentum that they're willing to risk it just to get a good feeling going in the offseason, because they haven't had that in Minnesota for a while.
Why would you play these guys big? Why are you playing Ricky Rubio 30-plus minutes the last 2 games? Why are you playing D. Russ?
I really feel like they need some wins just to get over the hopelessness, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. So if they're trying to win, I don't know why they're trying. Like you said, I don't know why they would be, but
I think it's just the beginning of trying to build some sort of culture of winning, and that another number 1 pick. I mean, you gotta get these guys going, and of course, even though Towns re-signed, we've seen these guys, demand trades and stuff too. So that could be another incentive for them as well. Let's talk about the Spurs, who are heading to Utah to take on the Jazz. The Spurs are catching 6.5. Spurs are another tough one for me to get a handle on. They did not cover against the Jazz. They lost against Philadelphia, but they covered in that game. They lost against Boston, but they covered in that game. They lost to Miami, and then their most recent win was on April 26th against the Wizards. So kind of a down streak for them. Of course, Utah has coming back. They beat San Antonio and Toronto. Still not healthy, though, missing both guards, I believe. Let me double check that. Conley and Mitchell still out. How are you approaching this game, JSU?
Yeah, I think I like the dog here in San Antonio coming off this same matchup pretty much last time out. Utah without two of their better players, and San Antonio, as it looks right now, they're only down Derek White. Now, who knows? They're a team that we've seen it, where at certain points they're just like, oh, we'll give a game and we'll scratch like half our roster. And but if all these guys are in, I think I'm going to back the dog here. I'll take the points with the Spurs. I don't think with Mitchell and Conley out right now, I don't think they're that far off Utah and how they've been playing. So I'll trust the dog here if all those guys for them are in, which we all know sometimes goes right up to lock to get that pop news, right?
Yeah. I mean, and he's the original of this, right? I mean, he was the first one to start doing this. So
he started it. He started all this. Him and Rick Carlisle did it a bunch too over the years. He's done it where like he would just scratch like half a team and let like JJ Barea get like 40 minutes, a couple, like randomly he would do that. So give his bench guys some run. But yeah, Pop definitely started it.
All right, let's talk about the highlight. I think this game's going to be fantastic. We talked about the injury news, but still, Denver's a fun team to watch, and they could be dangerous. I love their big three with Gordon, Porter, and Jokic. They are hosting the New York Knicks, who have been an ATS machine. So these are the two teams that I've been backing the most over the last month, JSU, with the best results. Denver's been cashing for me. The Knicks have been cashing for me. Now they face off. Like, I'm not sure what to do, right? It's like watching your two kids play against each other. Like, who do you root for? How are you approaching this game here?
So I was on the phone earlier with Big T, and of course, we talked for a little bit, and he had to, where are my Nuggets at? Are they on the slate today? Because he takes some time before he looks at the slate, and I let him know. He guessed the line like perfectly. He was like, it's probably like around 4. It's like, yep, that's where it is. That's where I'm looking at it right now at 4. He said he had a tough time. He's close. Like I think he was leaning the Nuggets, but he said the Knicks. I lean the Knicks. I said to him, I think this is a spot where the Knicks come through here. I think they can win. You could just take the points, obviously, at 4. But I think this is a spot where they could win. I know it's in Denver, but Denver is just so lost for so many players. Like Austin Rivers is going to have to play 30-plus minutes in this game. Campazzo is going to have to play 30-plus minutes in this game. This is a rough team right now with Jokic. The Knicks want to slow the game down. We all know they play really good defense. I think this is a spot where the Knicks could get them here and even win the game. So I like the Knicks plus the points. I do think you could sprinkle the money line, kind of like we were talking about with Washington, where Mangone was like, I don't mind sprinkling the money line. I think you could sprinkle the money line here. I also think the under might be the play spread, and I know you're the totals guy, but I do think the under here with Denver down so many guys in the way the Knicks play, I could see an under spot here, but I'll leave the totals to you because that's your thing.
Oh, yeah, I totally like the under here. We're getting two of the slower-paced teams in the league. I don't think that we'll see a lot of fast breaks, and I think it's going to be a slow-paced defensive grind here. I definitely like the under here. And you make some good points on the Knicks. It looks like they've taken a little money now here. It's down to plus 3.5. I don't think that's enough to really sway you either way on that side. But this should be a lot of fun. So the two games that I'm looking forward to the most tonight are the Suns and the Hawks, and then of course this Knicks and Nuggets game. And look who showed up right on time. Gregory Russo's here, and he knows. He must have felt it. Like, he got the spider sense tingling. Head over to the computer to jump on and check us out and grab these best bets. If you guys missed it earlier, Travis already took Phoenix. So Phoenix is an official best bet of the day. And now we go to you, JSU. Who do you like?
Yeah, he's stealing Phoenix from me,
Yeah,
Travis.
I
know. I do like Phoenix, though. I think they're a great bet. I'm with Travis there. I think I really like the under in the game we just talked about with the Knicks and Denver. I think that's a play. I think the Knicks +4 also is the side that I lean. And then after that, let me give one more. While I find one more winner, you give your best bet.
So the one that really sticks out to me is I do like Milwaukee, but I'm so worried about this injury report. It just doesn't seem right because when I do the numbers, this line is wrong. The line is wrong, and so they have to know something that I don't know. So I'm refreshing the injury report. Nope, I get Axel Tupain and Jeff Teague, and the line's 3.5.
I mean, you would think that someone is sitting. I don't know who, but
okay. Well, here's the deal. If it's Giannis, I'm sunk, right? I think I could absorb a DiVincenzo, right? And Middleton hasn't had any health issues in Holiday, right? They're both healthy, right? So Giannis and DiVincenzo are the two that have been kind of peppered in and off the injury report. I know you guys like
spot spread where you just kind of wait. You kind of just wait and see what happens, and then off of it, make your bet, see where it moves. And
well, see, I have to give out one, and if we're going through all the other games, I almost crossed all the double-digit games off the list. Rockets are out to 14.5, but do I really want to give out the Rockets as the best bet? No. You made some good points for the Kings, but that's another one we're waiting for the news. The Timberwolves, I do like that spot too, but I'm afraid of going against the Grizzlies because I haven't had a good handle on them all year. And I guess the Spurs here, but I am worried about that pop one. I'll go for Milwaukee. It seems to be the best, and if Giannis sits, and I lose it. But I'm going to take Milwaukee -3.5. I know it seems a little square in the obvious letdown situation, but if they do fully play, I just love the matchup. I love the way the Milwaukee's been playing. I think that PJ Tucker pickups was ridiculously underrated. He played very good defense on Sunday when KD had that three. I mean, that was about perfect, right? Remember the one that we talked about before, and I think you had missed it with him on Booker where he caught the elbow? He didn't do it that time against KD. And during the pregame, I didn't think that he was going to be able to cover KD effectively, and he's able to kind of give him some problems.
I mean, he's a bigger body, and he's more physical, and KD doesn't really want that, right? He's more of a finesse guy. He wants guys that when he hits them, they move back. Not guys that stand their ground and push back. There's a difference. KD wants someone to accept his push, and then kind of move back to give him space, not guys that want to close off that space and force him to do something else, right? Like that's what he's like. PJ Tucker knows that the only way you're never going to really stop someone like him. You just have to find ways to annoy him, right? And you got to close off that space. You can't give him any ground. And so when he hits you to do that turn away jumper, fall away jumper, like he wants you to move back. And if you don't move and you go forward, that's exactly what he doesn't want. You know what I mean? He needs that space. So it makes sense that he could give him some problems, but in the end, KD, there's no one that can really guard him. There are just guys that maybe know some tricks on how to annoy him a little bit, right? There's a difference.
And Milwaukee had the game plan yesterday. To beat the Nets, you need to get that lead, and this is Milwaukee's key to success. They don't want to be even going to the end. They need to get that lead. They need the scoreboard pressure, right, and the ability to get out and transition and do things. And they play so well operating with like a 2-possession lead or more. So you got to give them credit for pulling through on that yesterday. So let's see if they avoid the letdown spot tonight. So you said you like the under in the Knicks, and who else?
Yeah, I like the Knicks too, +4, and I'll give out the Spurs. Now I'm going to say with the Spurs, you can get popped, and he could, rest half his team halfway through. But if everyone plays, I like them +7 here. So I'll take them and hope I don't get popped.
All right. Sounds like a plan. So thank you very much for hanging out. Knew it was going to be a long one today as we had the big slate and we had you and Mangone, but I think we had some fun discussions there. We got a little playoff preview mixed in there.
I'm waiting for the preview spread where we get on there and we talk about the actual playoff situation once we get the actual seeding for these teams. But I love the playoff.
Maybe I'll try and set that up next week as it gets closer. So the
we need these teams
next Sunday. We need to know who's going to play who.
Once we get the actual matchups, we can do it, because I don't want to do it, and because again, it really is, in my opinion, a matchup based thing for a lot of these teams. Are there like one or two teams that are just better on each side than the rest when they're healthy? Probably, but for the most of these teams, it's a matchup thing to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain teams that I just think they don't want to play. Like Denver doesn't want to play the Lakers. Like I couldn't believe on Monday night that the Lakers were able to handle them. And one of the keys I saw, talked about Tucker not giving up space. Gasol did that same thing to Jokic. He was a brick wall when Jokic was trying to move there, and I could tell he was getting frustrated. I think it was the first time the whole season where he thought, dang, I shouldn't have lost this late.
Again, finesse guys. Jokic, finesse player. He's a finesse player. He doesn't want you to push back. He doesn't want you to close off that. He wants you to move back. Right. You got to know who you're playing. Russ wants to hit you in the mouth. Russ wants to go right at you. So you have to be smart and, take charges and do certain things that he knows that a lot of players won't want to do. When Russ is going 100 miles an hour, not many people want to step in and get dunked on, right? Like that's not a thing a lot of people want to do. It's the same thing with Giannis and making that wall and trying to force that spin move back. There are just some players that you got to know how to defend and what they don't want. And you just got to make it uncomfortable, because there's no way you're just going to completely shut them down. Like they're really good basketball players. It's very hard to do, but you can make it annoying for them.
Right. And you want to try and tire them out. One thing I noticed also, I'm taking notes getting ready for these playoffs. Against the Spurs, I saw some of the fatigue conditioning issues from Embiid down the stretch, where sometimes he'll settle.
He just took that game he took that game so light. Even if you watched him like with his moves and stuff like that, he was doing moves, getting by people, and just like laying the ball in, and not even like dunking the ball and like doing the normal crap he does. Like he was just taking it. He was like playing like he was playing against like a college team. Like it was just like so. He was moving slower and just at a normal pace, and didn't really care. That's not going to be normal.
It still made me worry about his conditioning, though, because I've seen it fade down the stretch in playoff games, and we know, and we've talked about it, right? It's not the same sport almost. The amount of intensity that's going to go up with a guy that's already had conditioning concerns.
And their minutes are going to go up. They're going to want him to play as many minutes as he can handle against these teams that are going to do the same thing with their star players. They're going to need Embiid. Embiid is the key to that team. Like, don't even trick yourself into thinking that there's anyone else that's more of a key than Embiid for Philly.
Right.
Embiid is the key to that team. They're going to run their offense through Embiid. That's how they win. That's the mismatch against the Nets. You want to know how to beat the Nets? Give the ball to Embiid. Like that's going to wear the Nets down, is a guy like Embiid. That's how Philly, I think, beats the Nets. It's not Ben Simmons pushing the ball down the floor, trying to match the pace of the Nets and trying to outscore them. That's not how they're going to do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, a lot of fun today. Thanks for hanging out. The best bets we gave out were the Suns, the Spurs, the Bucks, and the Nuggets Knicks under. JSU, I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun with Holden. I'll try and stop by tonight. I think I'll be getting some lineups in, as I do not have a lot on the agenda for this afternoon. So good luck with all your lineups. Everybody, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the Run Pure Bets channel. Head on over to runpurebets.com. Use the promo code BETS25 off to get access to all the plays, articles, and videos. Thanks again for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with Tyler, and I got to confirm, but hopefully Titletown. And thanks for watching. Run Pure.